Hello, my friends on YouTube. Today is April 7th, Sunday, April 7th, 2024. Today's video, rape and looting in Islam. I was reading something in hadith, and one hadith got my attention, so I would like to explain this hadith and the circumstances that was surrounding this hadith. I'm going to put it also in the description box, but let's read it. There was a man, his name was Abu Dharr al-Ghifari. This man lived in the southern part of Arabia, what's now known as the country of Yemen. Okay, this man, he was a head of a tribe, and he and his whole tribe, their type of work, the work that the whole tribe have done is raiding caravans, looting, stealing, attacking neighboring towns, stealing their wealth, looting their wealth, and raping the women. So that's not a very dignified man or a tribe to speak of. A person who is doing that, I'm sorry. Anyway, nevertheless, this man, he received a message from the Prophet of Allah. Come and let's work together. Forget about all that you have done before. I'm going to put that hadith in the description box. And the book where that hadith is, it's called Book of White Garment, which indicates purity and cleanliness of the heart and the mind. Okay, so this man, after he went to Medina to meet with the Prophet of Allah, they became friends and they started to work together. Working together here, the Prophet of Allah needed people, an army, to start attacking caravans and looting. And this man and his whole tribe, that was their business for generation after generation. So they have a lot of experience. They have a lot of army, know what to do, how to circle the caravan and how to attack and when and the signal, all these things. This is tactic that you have to master. So these people, that was their business, and they were very good at this business. So they received a message from the Prophet of Allah, come, let's forget about your area and let's work together here. We make business together. So the whole tribe, men, women, and children, went to join the Prophet of Allah and work together. The same type of work that he was doing, but now on a grand scale, with experience, with people know what to do. Okay, with all that being said, this man Abu Dharr al-Ghifari, despite of all that he was doing before and after he came to join the founder of Islam, it seems to me from this hadith, he still had some little bit of conscience, like a small candle lit in his mind or heart, telling him that what you are doing is wrong. And believe it or not, you don't have to be Muslim, Christian, Jewish, Buddhist to know that what you are doing is wrong. When you do something wrong, your conscience lets you know this is wrong. Little kids, before they know whether they are Muslim, Christian, or Jewish, when they steal a toy from another child when they are 2 or 3 years old, they know they are doing wrong. That's not his toy or her toy. They just like it and they're kids. But so when you are doing that as an adult, you still know that what you are doing is wrong. So this man, Abu Dharr al-Ghifari, he knew that what he is doing is not correct, is not the right thing to do. So this is the hadith. There is a word, the word adultery. It's actually misrepresented. This is how it's translated. Excuse me. However, adultery, it's not the same as rape. And I'm going to explain why I believe it was rape. Somebody changed it. In Arabia, it was a center of merchants coming from all over the world. Okay, as far as Europe, and these people are not traveling by an airplane. No, they are traveling long way. And many of these merchants are pretty wealthy. And back then, all these things were happening, and probably until now, when a wealthy man, travel outside of his home, or even within the area of his home, if he wants to commit adultery, he does that. Okay, let's be realistic. But it is different. That's not rape. Okay, so when a man commits adultery, like in Arabia back then, there was something called the Red Banners homes. The Red Banners homes is an area, is like the Red District in many countries. And probably that name was derived from that. The Red District is an area where all women who do these services, they put a red banner on their home, raise up a red banner. That means I'm open for business. If you are interested, you pay that much and you get that much. That's probably how it was. But it was a contract, a business contract. The merchant wants this service because he was traveling for a long time and he wants that, and she offers to do that, and that much money is paid, and she does whatever she had to do. That's not rape. That's not rape. This is adultery. This is a married man, committing sexual violation with a woman. Both of them agree to it. And those who cheat on their spouses, sometimes a man will go and commit adultery, but with consent of another woman. And sometimes a woman, the same thing, leaves her husband and commits adultery with another man. And that is not rape. That's not rape. That's adultery. However, when you loot, when you invade another town, loot their wealth, kill the men, and violate the women, that's not adultery. That's rape. And this is what Abu Dharr al-Ghifari was doing. He was not going to, if he had gone to the Red Banner area and commit adultery, yeah, I will consider this adultery. But he was raiding villages, towns, and caravans. And some of these caravans, they were very large, so sometimes they will have their wives with them. So if you are caught with your wife, sometimes your wife, the head of the caravan, gets killed, and the women are raped. That's not adultery. That's rape, because against this woman's will. Rape. Okay? So this man, I'm giving this introduction to get the feeling of what this man was doing here. He was doing that, Abu Dharr al-Ghifari, and he knew that he was doing wrong. So he went to the Prophet of Allah and he was asleep. Let's read the hadith. I'm going to give you my own translation, by the way, it's better. Okay. Those narrators so and so said that he spoke to so and so to so. Let's skip all that part. Abu Dharr al-Ghifari, Abu Dharr, may the blessing of Allah be upon him. That's in the... He said, I came to the Prophet of Allah and he was asleep. So when he was asleep, he left him. He came back when he woke up, and then suddenly it's like he was dressed in a white garment, as if this makes any difference. Okay, it's like Al Capone dressed in a white garment. Would that change him to a holy man because he was dressed in white? Anyway, but to give holiness to the reader, he was dressed in white. Okay, so he woke up and he said, suddenly, first thing he says, not one single person would say no God but Allah and dies and he will go to paradise. Well, the Prophet of Allah can say whatever he wants, but what caught my attention here is the response of this gangster, the man who looted, raped, stole, killed, did so many atrocities. It showed me that he had some conscience. And I think if you read carefully between the lines, the Prophet of Allah noticed that this man has a bang of conscience. His conscience is bothering him. So he wakes up. The first thing he says to this man, no man says there is no God but Allah. He must go to paradise when he dies. It means don't worry about what you had done. You will go to heaven. You will go to paradise. But he can see that the man is not convinced. He knows what atrocity he had done. His conscience is bothering him. He has a conscience. So the Prophet of Allah had to make sure to suffocate or kill this conscience in the mind of this murderous man. Instead of helping him to change and to ask forgiveness or whatever, do something good to atone for his atrocity, no. Just if you say no God but Allah, you go to heaven, you go to paradise, don't worry. And the response of this man, it tells you he doesn't believe that. So he said, even if he rapes, here it's written commits adultery. No. Adultery was common in this area at this time. It was not a big deal. Okay? If he commits rape and steals, because that was his business before, stealing and raping and stealing, and he joined the Prophet of Allah and he will continue to do the same thing, his conscience is bothering him. So he was making sure, if he rapes and steals, Prophet of Allah, and the Prophet of Allah said, even if he rapes and steals. So he repeats the question twice, second time, even if he rapes and steals. And the Prophet of Allah said, if he rapes and steals. a third time, which it tells you the guy cannot swallow it, is not going down. And the Prophet of Allah for the third time told him, even if he rapes and steals. And for the fourth time, he said, Prophet of Allah, even if he rapes and steals, or if he rapes and steals. And the Prophet of Allah said, even if he rapes and steals, despite the feeling of the translation, despite of your disbelief in my word. So in Egypt we have a saying for that. We say, you received a piece of butter on a pie, a warm pie with a piece of butter on top. So now the Prophet of Allah is giving a blank check, not just to Abu Dharr al-Ghafari, this gangster, to go rob and steal and loot and rape the women. This is from Allah. And just you say there's no God but Allah. What else do you want? It's an open ticket. Go and do whatever you want and you will go to heaven. The Prophet of Allah said. This I compare it today to, let's say, there are many people who have committed atrocity. I'm going to take Hitler as an example. Because he committed, even though there are people who committed worse atrocity than Hitler, but let's talk about Hitler because there is connection between him and Islam. Excuse me. The mufti here, the people who don't know what mufti is the person who is like in charge of a religious affair of each country. He can say this is permissible to do, this is not. It's like the Pope for the Catholic. So each Islamic country has a mufti. This man, he can decide what's right, what's wrong in the religious stuff. The Mufti of Palestine in 1944, I believe 1944, he was a very good friend of Hitler. And the agreement between him and Hitler is Hitler kills the Jews in Europe and let me take care kill them in the Middle East and North Africa, because there was a lot of Jews from Morocco, Tunisia, Algeria, and we had a lot of Jews living in Egypt, and they were living a prosperous life, and they were very good people. Unfortunately, that anyway, it's not the subject now. But this Husseini, the Mufti of Palestine, was a very good friend of Hitler. What if this man representing Islam have taken this hadith and told Hitler? Let's say Hitler was not was still the leader, and he killed as many people as, not just the Jews, but he killed gypsies, he killed his own people, he put them at risk. Germany was destroyed. And imagine, with all this atrocity, the Mufti of Palestine tells him, say there is no God but Allah, and all of your sins are forgiven. How would that play? You killed many young people of your own country, many German. You murdered many Jews. You murdered gypsies. You murdered so many people. You committed so much atrocity. And just merely by saying there is no God but Allah, you go to paradise or heaven or what have you. It's a joke. It's a joke. And I'm saying that because there are unfortunately many Muslims, they don't think. Just take a step back and look at this subject objectively and tell me, how can a person like that go to heaven? any person of your choice who have committed atrocity. Okay? Any person who have committed atrocity. The fact that he says there is no God but Allah and go to heaven, can be forgiven everything. I don't think even God has that authority to forgive this kind of because even if God forgives him, how do you know that the people who have been violated will forgive him? This is nonsense. So anyway, thank you very much. I hope the sound now is better. I'm trying my best. If somebody wants to suggest, I know that you tell me that the sound is not very good. If you have a suggestion, I'm open to it. I'm sorry once again, I don't know so much about computers. If somebody wants to suggest something, please let me know. Thank you very much. We hope to hear from you. Please share the video, subscribe, and comment. Thank you.